And thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. It's been a long day of special voting, and let's end it well. Let's get the stakeholders to chip in, and let's hear what their view is on what has happened today. And so what has happened today is what we're going to be looking at and getting their perspective on it on the show. You want to stay with us? Now, we know that for the 2020 election, the special voting has ended in 275 constituencies across the country. We also know tonight that the preliminary report indicates about 90% of the 109,000 special voters turned out to vote. This is according to the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. They had done their preliminary assessment. Everything points to a high turnout in the special voting. The exercise was largely uneventful, with the EC strictly implementing a no mask, no vote rule, which is a central controversial point that we'll start with tonight with our guest who are joining us. The EC says it intends to maintain the rule on December 7 because of the executive instrument, which is still in force. Now, there being a few things to talk about. At Krowa, for example, in the constituency, the Kweshi Divisional Police arrested 2 voters who allegedly took photos of their ballot paper. The key question that has been asked tonight is, so what exactly is the fault, is the crime of these individuals if they decide to display their votes to people? I mean, what have they done wrong? That's a key question that had come up. We'll dig into that, ask the parties what they make of this. Now, issues of people not finding their names in the register, special voters don't find their names. So these are mainly police, soldiers, etc., who will be deployed on election day, had come up. The EC says he looking into this particular issue, see what happened. In Tamale, there was near confusion after the 2 major political parties accused each other of vote buying, because in some cases pictures were taken, and the report that we received is that once you show evidence of who you voted for, the party gives you money, ranging between anything from 50 to 100 cedis you get for showing evidence of who you voted for. At Yagaba Kubori in the Northeast region, there was heightened security after a clash between the NDC and the MPP in that part of the country also. Now, we will be assessing on the back of today, readiness for the December polls. On the back of today, what lessons have we learned today? With 6 days to go, can we address them in the time that we have? My guests are seated right after this. Stay with me. Evans Nemaku is the Director of Elections for the New Patriotic Party. Also joining me tonight is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Boamo Tukuno, who joined me. Also joining me is Albert Ahin, who is the National Coordinator for the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, who have been observing the polls today. In fact, it's to him I start with this conversation. Mr. Ahin, give me your preliminary report on today's special voting. What did Kodeo's observers find today? Also joining us tonight, and I need to indicate this, sorry, Mr. Ahin, also joining us is Mrs. Dr. Sribo Kweku, who is the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. Yes, sir. Mr. Ahin, your observation so far from Kodeo? Okay, let's try and rectify that. His sound. I don't know if that has been muted, but so if it's not muted, okay. So let's see if we can fix that. But I want to bring in obviously the Director of Elections of the MPP, who is with me in the studio, Mr. Evans Nemaku. Mr. Nemaku, were you in Accra today, or you towards other parts of the country?
I've been in Accra.
In Accra, okay. So I guess you've been to a lot of places to see for yourself what this how this has gone.
What the party did is to deploy our party leadership. Our general secretary has been on the field with our national organizer. All other officers are also on the field. We deployed our agents to all the 311 voting centers across the 275 constituencies. So the New Patriotic Party was well represented in all the voting centers.
What was the report? What report did you receive?
Reports are still coming from across the centers. So far, it has been very successful.
Okay.
I think that the turnout has been very encouraging, but also this is very specific, well-defined voters, i.e. Security officials, media practitioners who have been accredited by the Media Commission, and then people who have been engaged by the EC. And so, by and large, I'll say that it has been very successful.
Okay. I'm just curious. I know the MPP was quite effective with your monitoring mechanism in 2016, your very famous monitoring mechanism. Was today an opportunity to test it again before December 7th?
That's the award-winning monitoring project we have.
Who give you an award for it?
I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we've done that already. We've put in place our infrastructure. And today, we observe what the other stakeholders were also doing. And so, for New Patriotic Party, we are poised for December 7th. We know that considering the excellent delivery of our president, who is our flag bearer, the good people of Ghana will come out in their numbers. I think today's turnout will send a signal to all that Ghanaians are ready to participate.
Talking about turnout, what report did you receive about that? I mean, because EC says, when I spoke to them a couple of hours back, it was too early to put a number to it. But you are having reports. So if you have 100 people expected to vote, if you get 90, they will send it to you.
Yes.
You should know now, what is the picture looking like?
We're looking beyond 85%.
85%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm curious though, why is turnout so important for the MPP?
Turnout should be important to all believers of democracy. We're looking at participation by majority of the people to decide the way forward. So it is important. I think you wouldn't be happy if turnout tends to be low, even today and then December 7th. Why would people register and then fail to turn out to exercise their franchise? I mean, the law allows that once you are entitled, you qualify under the law, you've registered, I think you should also participate to ensure that all of us come together to decide who leads the country. And I'm saying that majority of Ghanaians at this stage, I mean, when this whole exercise of putting in place a new voter management system, a new registration system was decided, some people never appreciated it, more so when it was going to happen under COVID. And so we also, what happened, at the end of the day, majority of the people turn out to register. And so we have a good sizable population on the register to express their franchise come December 7th.
Okay.
We are looking forward to ensure, to see how December 7th will turn out. But largely, I can say that more people will turn out December 7th.
December 7th. Let me bring in Mr. Abed Ahin. Hopefully his connection to us is better. Mr. Ahin, say hello if you could hear me. Okay. Okay. We still have a challenge. We'll try and rectify that. Thankfully, the Dr. Sribo Kweku is on with me right now. Hi, Dr. Sribo Kweku. So the question about the turnout, is the picture any clearer now than when I first spoke to you 2 hours ago about the turnout numbers today? You were expecting 100% turnout as the chairperson announced yesterday. Did you get 100%?
Like I said, the figures are being put together, but for so far we have not got the 100%. But we are expecting a huge turnout, because all these people are people who are active and they apply to vote. So we were expecting that all of them would have been there to vote. But some of them did not turn up, which is normal. If you compare this one to 2016, this we have to reschedule the voting for another day. This one has been better organized and the turnout has been very, very encouraging.
I need to comment on just the stress I hear in your voice. You must certainly be very, very tired. I mean, crisscrossing. I think you were in the central region, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, today I visited 10 centers for automotive. And wherever I went, there are people who are there to disturb me.
Well, welcome to our world. Thank you for being patient and allowing us to disturb you. We appreciate the work you do and availing yourself to answer all these tough questions we put to you on a daily basis almost. But I guess give yourself 7 more days and this will be over. You can take a long deserved break. Let's stay with this. Let's bring in Peter Boamo Tokuno, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, joins us, I believe, via Zoom right now. Thank you, Mr. Tokuno, for the time here on PM Express. On the turnout question, what is the NDC's own preliminary assessment of the turnout? Do you also have huge numbers?
Well, I think as speakers have said, we are still waiting to look at the preliminary numbers, or the real numbers in terms of the turnout. But the preliminary reports we received from the various centers text turnout not maybe under 80% or not more than 80%. I'm sure it should be around 80%. About. But that is not really relevant at this point. I think that it will be a bit premature to be talking about turnout and be hoping to draw inference and extrapolate to what may happen on the 7th of December, particularly because if you look at this special voting exercise, it's a unique one that captures only 2 major categories of people, which is the security agencies and the journalists. Now, mostly, if you look at the nature of our security agents, they are enthusiastic towards elections because of the non-partisan nature of their work. It's not too high. And you would also have to take notice of the fact that after registration exercise, some of them have been transferred, across the country. So most of them will not be available to, vote. I know of cases where people would have had to travel all the way from the logo to get to town to be able to vote. So I think that all those things will factor the turnout. But beyond that, the number of people who were also excluded from the opportunity to enjoy this regime, this special voting regime, would also impact, what the outcome will be. And finally, the fact that we 109,000 who were supposed to have voted through this special voting exercise, you would be making a very huge mistake if you draw quick inferences from it. It may be very premature because this actually constitutes only one constituency in some cases. So you may have to be very careful in doing the analysis. But I think that generally the process was smooth. Except, the real circumstances in the main election will be a little bit, indifferent. So we would have to identify where, we could have done things better and make sure that in the main voting exercise on the 7th of December, we will not be confronted with any major challenges. That will be the
Mr. Tokuno, you used
that undermines the electoral process.
You pronounce the verdict that the exercise today has been smooth. If today was a test for December 7, how would you rate the performance of the Electoral Commission today?
Well, I would rather hazard a caution, not to, as it were, consider this a mock test. because this one may not even pass for a class test, looking at what we have ahead of us for 7 for this day as well, it be like some homework. So it is not advisable. I wouldn't advise from my experience in elections and what I know about this particular election. I wouldn't hazard a rate in respect of this, in respect of the special voting as compared to what may happen on 7th of December.
Okay, the Electoral Commission earlier said they will give themselves an A. Would you agree?
Is that they will do what?
They'll give themselves an A. Would you agree?
Well, this Electoral Commission has since the beginning of their appointment, engaged in self-glorification. And even when the thing is going bad, they glorify and pat themselves in the back. When the whole world, including Kodio, was expressing concerns about the irregularities in the elections for the creation of the new regions, they were patting themselves in the back and were clapping for themselves for doing a very wonderful job. So I wouldn't be surprised that they would do that. In fact, for the past few weeks, all that they have engaged in self-glorification and just, tickling themselves and laughing, that they have done very well. They have done it. That's what they have been doing. So I wouldn't be surprised that they would do that. But if they would have any modicum of restraint, they would not even have graded themselves. They would have looked at the real issue and worked towards, a system that would be more credible, that would be more acceptable, that would be smooth, and that would be efficient, where you would not have, major challenges that will undermine the entire process. So okay. I think that they are free to do their self-glorification, and unfortunately, you have the MPP also, join them in such certification. So who am I to say that they are not allowed? If the MPP will join them in this self-glorification, I think we should allow them.
Yeah. Let me bring in Albert Ahin, hopefully. Ms. Ahin, if you can hear me, Kodeo deployed observers. What's your own verdict on today? What did you observe, and what's the preliminary assessment?
Yeah, the preliminary assessment is that it's been a very big success. Kodeo normally looks at the opening, looks at the assembly of materials, whether there were shortages here, the performance of the BBD, and then even the performance of the EC staff themselves. And I think it's thumbs up for the whole exercise. Turnout was okay. If you look at what we saw or what was sent to us, it's hovering around 92%. The lowest should be around about 80. So it's a very good exercise, and we are all praying that they should play out in the main event that will be coming very soon. So it's been a success.
Okay. So I guess there is, even Otokuno used the word smooth to describe it. And so, you agree with that verdict, definitely.
Well, but you know that Mr. Otokuno will always have difficulty making his points.
Oh, but he used the word smooth.
Until he's able to rope in the New Patriotic Party. But strangely, Mr. Otokuno should know that the category of voters for today are not 2, but 3. The security services, the journalists, and then other ad hoc staff engaged by the EC and their staff. So that is the law.
Okay. Now, I wanted to go to some of the key issues that had come up today and that would need some attention going forward. One of them is no face mask, no vote. Many people were turned away, go and find a face mask and return. That has become an issue because we all know in the country that we have huge numbers of poor people who genuinely can't afford a face mask, don't have one. Something needs to be done about that, right? What is the MPP's position on this very important matter that could, in some circumstances, in the villages, may disenfranchise people?
You know, the New Patriotic Party...
Oh, but I need to indicate, go to the polling station with a face mask. That's a starting point. Go. If you have one, go with it. But we're having a conversation about also being legal, because this is a state and a country based on laws. And so even we are going to do it and say, go back and find it, it has to be backed by law. But there's an executive instrument that says you should be protected, right? But there's also a constitutional right question about the right to vote. right? So how is the MPP managing that, balancing that? What's your reaction to this? It's come up today.
Yes, and as I was coming to, we organize our primaries for constituencies where we have certain members of parliament under COVID. And it's been our major issue that in all our programs, we observe the COVID-19 safety protocols. The party has put in place enough arrangement to ensure that members will have face masks whilst going out to vote. And as you said, there's an executive instrument that says that you must, it's a must that you comply with the EI 64. And so we are urging people that as long as you step out, you must ensure that you are protecting yourself and also protecting your colleague, so we save our lives. It is important that we observe this protocol. In fact, at the last IPAC meeting and the previous one before the last, the EC mentioned to political parties that they've appointed a COVID-19 ambassador who ensure that distances are kept, people come with face masks. Without that, they were even going to make provision for people who will come without face masks.
Okay, so clarify, that is important for me. So the EC had assured that they will make provision, so as in they'll supply face masks for those who generally don't have.
That was not stated clearly, but okay. What came out was that there is a COVID-19 ambassador in all voting centers, who is also an official of the EC to ensure that the whole process is well organized. But for us as a party, we keep on educating our members and also getting all Ghanaians to appreciate the need to observe the protocols. This is only Ghana that is suffering.
I want you to address for me, for those who, you've traveled across the villages.
Yes.
You know how poor and dire the things could be in some of the villages. There are poor women and poor men and children or young men who can't afford a face mask. They don't have it. What happens in that case?
As much as possible, the party is giving out face masks.
At the polling station? I'm talking about on election day.
Yes.
What's happened to what happened? At the polling station?
Yes, the party is giving out a lot of supplies to Ghanaians, and so whoever is in need, we do our best to help. So our members have also been educated enough to ensure that once they are moving out, they must not join the fray to avoid not using the face mask. Sometimes people have it, but they complain of the uncomfortable usage of it. So some will put them in their bags, in their pockets, and all that. We are still urging that as long as you step out, you must protect yourself and protect your colleague.
Let me ask you this. Should the EC insist on no face mask, no vote?
I think we must insist, because also there is a law. As long as, yes, you have your right to vote, it doesn't mean that you should also cause harm to your colleague or yourself. So we must, no matter how uncomfortable it is now backed by law to ensure that you comply. We need to save our lives, we need to protect our colleagues and protect our family. As long as we have life, there's more hope for us. So the party is urging our support base. We need you to be alive. We need you to turn out in your numbers to vote for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Let me bring in Albert Ahin. Mr. Ahin, what is Kodeo's view on this? This came up today, and you could see why it might become an issue on election day, December 7th, because this is special voters. People from security agencies, media, and other state agencies, they should not have an excuse not to wear face masks. But we had a situation where they were going there without them, and they were being turned away. So you can imagine what will happen to the ordinary folks in the villages who genuinely don't have. What should the approach be? We know tonight that the EC's directive was that if you don't have the marks, you can't enter the polling station and attempt to vote. You have to go back, right? But that also raises questions about possible disenfranchisement. What would you say should be the approach going forward on this? Hello, Mr. Ahin.
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying that it is good that the EC is enforcing this mask issue. It will be incumbent now upon the parties to make sure that they provide, when necessary, masks for their people to go there to vote. It's in the interest of they themselves and the interest of their colleagues who are also in the queue going to vote. So I believe that the EC should enforce it, and the parties should find a way. If people are not being able to get a mask or they are not able to buy it, the party should be able to provide it for them so that they protect themselves and they protect all the other people in the polling station. It is something that ought to be done.
Mr. Ayin, consider this. In this a very tense, divided political environment, a political party distributing face masks at the polling center could be a recipe for misunderstanding. Shouldn't the state, as in the government, take up that responsibility?
I think I will agree with you on that score. If it is going to create tension, I thought they were going to be very cordial here to come together to provide for everybody.
Our politicians will never do anything for free. They will turn it into another opportunity to campaign.
But if they are not able to do it,
he will give me one in Nanado, Akufo-Addo, and everybody is going to now start fighting over it.
Yeah, I think the EC should think about it seriously. Going into the 7th, if possible, government should come in to provide for everybody. Because you are rightly saying that if the parties are to do it, I'm sure there will be some controversy surrounding it. So this goes to the EC. I think they should think about it seriously and get some spare mask around so that if people are finding it difficult, they cannot afford, then definitely the EC will have to come in and provide for them so they can conveniently vote.
Mr. Tokono, what's your view on this from the NDC?
You would realize that if you look at the processes that have been put in place to fight COVID-19, as exemplified during the registration exercise, you would know that people go to the polling stations without notice. And indeed, the Electoral Commission will make this position very clear. The law is there. But when you go to the ground, the reality is not what we are discussing. So I know that, people would have a challenge in ensuring, in fact, the Electoral Commission themselves will have a challenge in ensuring that everybody who comes to the polling station wears nose masks. Today, I've seen footages of, some of the polling stations. Even in this case where we are looking at less than 100,000 people voting, people were still not wearing their nose masks. What is important to do is the nose masks for the Electoral Commission officials. Now, if we try to enforce this strictly, it comes with two implications. The first implication is that security, you may have challenges because according to our laws, nobody is supposed to go to the polling station with a branded nose mask. In cases where in poor communities, all that they have is a John Mahama nose mask or an MPP nose mask, you would have a challenge in telling them that they can't wear that nose mask when you are demanding that they have to wear a nose mask. Because the law that you have put there, they say that you must be a nose mask. They didn't say you can't be in MPP nose mask or NDC nose mask, even though there's another law that says that you can't carry any souvenirs like that. So if you do that, then you are going to create chaos because somebody will come with a branded nose mask and others will not understand. And they will say that the law says that you can't come with this. Meanwhile, the person has come to the police station. The person is having an inalienable right to exercise his franchise, and you cannot take that away from him. So I think that the implementation of this will be a problem. Now, one other security angle that we may have to look at is that anybody who has decided to cause harm, anybody who has decided to cause mischief, can even go with I have heard Mr. Adam Boda made this security caution on some platform, and I think that it is a very significant one that we have to look at because you see, in politics, anything can happen, and in elections, everybody is trying to find ways to do something that will make him win the elections. And in some cases, just like we saw at Ayawa's West Wagon, people have employed very crude methods, to win the election. So in cases where you would have to rely on political parties to provide those facts for people, you may end up having disaster because somebody can just as well, put some kind of chemicals in one nose mask and go and stand, the opponent's stronghold and just get all of them to sleep or fall sick and get out of the line and not go. So this is something that we have to look at. if we had discussed this extensively before the process had started, I would have suggested that the Electoral Commission procures the nose mask for everybody. It is okay to wear an Electoral Commission branded nose mask for everybody who comes to the polling station, or share the surgical nose mask for everybody who comes to the polling station, than to leave it to political parties to provide those masks for the people. I have heard my colleague from the FPC saying that, they will procure those masks. Yeah, it's true, they are in government, they have the luxury of all the resources at their disposal. In fact, they have actually procured a lot of those masks, and they are even on the distribution of goodies free. So they are giving free money in the name of COVID. So they can buy the nose mask. But if indeed they are going to buy the nose mask, then the nose mask must be equally distributed to all political parties, so that there are people who can get the nose mask, and those nose masks shouldn't be branded in their usual form, or still more, local.
So in other words, you're proposing that the government should take up the responsibility. The state should take up.
Yes, I mean, in any serious economy, with any proactive leader, a visionary leader, a leader who is, up to the task, a leader who has the weight and metal to frontally deal with, pandemics like we are having. I don't think we will make a mistake at all by allowing people to come with their own nose mask. Government must procure the nose mask. But here again, we don't expect President Akufo-Addo to do that. We expect him to do the former rather than, buy nose masks that can service everybody. But I think this is something that we have to pursue. If it is not too late, the Electoral Commission or government should make provisions at all polling stations, nose masks for the people. Somebody was suggesting that, why don't we allow people to tell nose masks? You are talking about almost over 38,000 polling stations across the country, and you can't tell me that almost all the polling stations will have people selling nose masks there. And even that one, it is not everybody who can afford that nose mask. So I think the right way to go, the surgical masks, they are already produced. It is easy to procure within this short period. They have shown the way they can procure immediately. They are good at procuring such things like they did for the registration. So let's do that, and not sit on the fence and say, okay, we have put an instruction. If you are not carrying those masks, you can't vote. Look, you are going to have disaster at the polling station, because I cannot come to the polling station and you tell me that because I don't have those masks, I can't cast my vote. I think that would be much of a problem.
Yeah.
So the Electoral Commission may have to look at it.
Collectively
with the political parties, we must come to a certain common understanding on how to deal with this.
I want to bring in Dr. Serbo Kweku. He's been on the line listening to this. Mr. Kweku, Dr. Kweku, what is the EC thinking in terms of a solution for this?
Even the challenge I have with you is that we are always talking of right. But we forget that right go with responsibility. I don't see why we'll be defining people who want to go out and flout the laws that people should wear COVID protocols and observe them. The next time, then people will also say that they will not even observe their distance. They will say that they will not wash their hands, and we'll be defining that. The law says that if you want to go out, wear a mask, period. It is our responsibility to encourage everybody to observe the law. We are not in normal times. COVID is real. So the issue of not be able to buy or not should not come in. If those villages that we are talking of, when there's funeral, go and see the type of clothing that people buy clothes for every funeral. How much is a nose mask? So I believe that once they are right, they should also go with responsibility. I don't know how much it will cost for anybody to get it. Even there are some people who don't have the mask, they use handkerchief. Ordinary handkerchief to do. Some use headcraft to cover their mouth. So let us all educate the people that COVID is real. When people are going to gather at a place, they need to protect themselves. Therefore, they should wear the mask before going out. I don't believe in finding excuses that they don't have been in there. I don't believe.
Dr. Kweku, clarify this for me. I understand that during the registration, the EC procured extra masks for those who came to the centers without it. Was it true?
I know there was a budget line to that, but I'm not sure that we bought some, but I don't think the people came for them because they were all coming with the mask. It's now people have relaxed because they think that the COVID is no more there. Yeah, I remember today when I asked somebody, the person was saying that the politicians who are deceiving them of the COVID is not there. So we should help people to know that it is real. It's not the issue of whether somebody should give you or not. If they said they will give, I'm not, as I said, I'm not so sure of this, but our budget for the election. But people should be responsible to wear masks when they are going out.
Yeah.
If you want to exercise your right, the right should also go with some responsibilities.
Yeah. Mr. Ahin, what do you make of the EC's response to this?
Yeah, I think he's making a point there, right? But I believe that even though it is the individual's responsibility to wear a mask or carry one to the center, I think the EC should at least still carry some spare mask, kept by the presiding officer at the various polling stations, so that in case of anybody coming there without it, at least they could support it. But to say that maybe we just would not send anything there at all will not be okay. We know the mask is just one city. But you rightly said that in some villages it is difficult for people to get this. So the EC can not necessarily buy it in very large quantities, but to have some spare mask around the polling stations so that if anybody comes there without it, then he could be helped. I think that should be. We are not saying that maybe they should buy for maybe if there are 750 people in the polling station, they should buy 750. No, just a small quantity, a number that will be for people who will come there without it. I think they should consider that seriously.
Evans?
Yes, I think that I'll side with Mr. Ahin. We should be able to provide some number of face masks in all polling stations where voting will take place. I think that you can also start a project, donate a mask, that you go to your voting center with some masks in your hands to give to people who do not have. But the issue is that once you leave your home, you must be in it, so you don't infest or somebody also don't get infested from your behavior. This is a bit challenging. We must all be on the drawing board to think through. But as I said, as a party, we've been encouraging our members and speaking to the whole of Ghana to obey the law we have put in place. And we've seen the president coming to our homes with the fellow Ghanaian speeches to let us know the nature of COVID-19 as has been put forward by the experts and the behavior of it. And the world is still not certain post-COVID how our human system will behave. So we need to be extra cautious in our interaction. We have strong opinion that, yes, our people must comply with the law. You provide some face masks to our members. You don't want anybody to go out there and infest anybody or take home an ailment. So that is our position. The issue that the state must take it up now, or the EC, we have 6 days to D-Day. It's a bit challenging, but people who have the capacity must, the onus is on them to also help their neighbors.
Another issue that came up today, and I'll get everybody's chip on this, is some people couldn't find their names in the special voters list. Did you pick this up as well? And the resolution of this is important.
Yes, it came up, and this is something that was discussed at IPAC, that when the invitation was extended to these people to apply, some people didn't have their particular rights. So unfortunately, they wouldn't be on the special voters list, but they will be in the main register. It means that, yes, they will miss today, but December 7, they will have the chance of voting. But I'm surprised that this is supposed to be a list that was published, and people should have taken the advantage to check whether their names were in there or not. Unless your application was successful, but today you've missed. Because if your application was successful, it means that you're going to be on the absent voter list, and you will not have the opportunity of voting December 7. But I've heard the EC explaining that those whose application were not successful will not be on the special voters list, but will be on the main register. I think that, and I also appreciate this arrangement put in place by the EC, that when you use the short code, the *711 *2020 hash, you'll be able to check whether your name is in the register or not. We are urging our members to follow. And the New Patriotic Party has a strategy. We are making sure that our members are on the register. Already, we've been giving copies. We are also verifying that, yes, everybody will have his name in the register so that we don't lose our members. It's unfortunate that you set off from your home to go exercise your franchise and you get then your name is.
So you have a bit of concern there. Do you have reassurance from the EC that this will be resolved properly?
Yeah, the EC has said that if you did apply but your name is not on the main register, it means that your application wasn't successful, meaning that you'll be in the main register.
Okay, so you have to wait to register.
You have to wait
but for those who are going to be deployed, they possibly be disenfranchised.
So I've also heard the police high command saying that those who could not vote today should be deployed to polling stations where they are supposed to, or closer to. So they are making their own arrangement to ensure that
deal with this
yes,
problem.
nobody gets disenfranchised.
I want to take a break. When I return, I'll hear a token on this particular matter as well and get the EC's wrap on this. But I want to get the verdict of everyone around the table about what today says about our readiness for December 7 in 6 days. Stay with me. You're live on PM Express. I want to quickly get in, Mr. Tokuno, on the last point that came up today about people's missing names in the register, in the special voting list, and the resolution of this going forward. Mr. Tokuno, I mean, I'm sure your monitors and agents picked up this. What is the thinking of the party on how to resolve this? I'm asking you about the reports we had today. Some special voters did not find their names on the list, and the conversation about how to resolve this before, of course, on election day or going forward. What did your party find? Well,
Ivan, we made this point before this very day, and we knew that there were going to be issues. Now, the reality is that a lot of security officials are unable to get on the voting roll to vote. For the journalists, I'm sure arrangements can easily be made to get them to get their votes. EC officials, arrangements can still be made, or they can easily forfeit. But if you look at the number of people we are talking about who were not able to find their names on the voter roll, in fact, they are in two folds, even. One fold is a group of people who did not make it to the list at all. Then the other group, which we saw in some of the videos we have seen in Odododo and Co., are those who thought that they found their name on the list, on the special voters list. But when they got to the polling station, their names were not on the list. These are two categories of people that we have to look at. Now, the challenge we are going to have on election day is that you have these individuals who, as agreed, will be posted or will be deployed to areas where they have originally registered. You have the case whereby they would go and be casting their votes at the very time that polls at areas where they've been stationed or they've been deployed have started their polls without the security. So if there are security challenges, then who would handle the security challenges in their absence? You understand? So this is a reality that we have to be thinking about. We are going to have serious security challenges on the election day. And the earlier we come to terms with that and find a convenient way of dealing with this, the better for all of us.
Let me see.
We've got to know, Evans, we've got to know of this challenge very early. And I think that there were very workable options that we could have solved this problem without going through what we are going through now. But there again, we are not open to ideas. We are not open to suggestions. We think that the Electoral Commission is so sacrosanct and so superior in thought that everything that they do is right. So
let me get some clarity from the issue on the way forward on this. Dr. Siribo Kweku, what's the way forward on this particular issue of the missing names in the list, especially for those who said they checked, they found their names, but they only got to the station and their names were in there?
Before I will go on that, let me talk about the mask issue.
Yes.
I think the impression is being created that COVID is only at the police station. The people will move from their houses, probably join vehicles before they get to the polling station. So even if the EC has them, what happens to them from their houses to the polling station? So there's the need for them to take off from the houses already in mass to avoid other contact when spreading the COVID. That's my take on that. Okay. And with respect to the registers, we should all bear in mind that some people did not apply at all. Today, I met a lot of them and they were thinking that it was an automatic thing, that once you're a security person, you vote by special vote. So some people did not apply at all. Then two, some also applied, but provided the wrong data. Some applied even stating or using their old voter ID card. Some also applied stating less than the ID numbers. The ID number is a 10-digit number. Some quoted 9, 8, others quoted 11, 12. So these were some of the people who applied but could not go through. With respect to some people seeing their names on the special voters list and later not finding their names on the register, that one has not got into my attention, so I cannot speak to that.
Okay.
Because I'll be surprised that it's the same list that came out that was exported onto the PVD. So I'll be surprised that somebody saw the name, but the name didn't appear on the register.
Yeah.
That one has not got into my
attention. Okay.
Attention, so I can't speak to that.
Mr. Ahene, in 30 seconds, on the evidence of what you've seen today, is the EC ready for December 7?
Yeah, I think Evans, they are ready. What really makes me happy is the fact that from the report that we received, there was not a single manual verification.
Okay.
There were about a few facial ones, about 4 or 5 of them. And that, tells us that at least we are going to be assured of a workable PVD come 7th.
Okay.
And that vindicates maybe the EC for, saying that they needed a robust, kind of machinery to be able to handle this work. So for the fact that people went to these stations, had their names verified, without a single one being manually verified, makes me very happy. And that tells me that come 7th, definitely we are going to have a very successful election.
Yeah, I think the EC is ready. The New Patriotic Party is ready. We are poised to win. We've committed this whole enterprise into the hands of the Lord. We've said the battle is the Lord. We are happy that our flag bearer is moving out there. He's been well received. Our campaign has been very exciting. The spouses of our flag bearer and their wife. Yes, so we are urging our members to turn out in their numbers to vote for the president, to continue with his good work. We're urging people to comply with the COVID-19
I don't have time. Because you started campaigning, we're talking of 2 seconds.
It's gone.
It's gone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.